Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Tempe Work Study Session Agenda. Item number 1 is call to order. Council meetings can be watched in real time via Cox Cable Channel 11 and at tempe.gov/tempe11. Members of the public may also attend the meeting virtually through Microsoft Teams. Guidelines for conduct at City Council meetings are on the table near the entrance for those in attendance at tonight's meeting. We will now play a video with the proper protocol for ensuring the appropriate conduct at City Council meetings.
The City of Tempe welcomes public comment at this time. Disruptive behavior will not be allowed. Continued disruptive behavior will lead to removal from the council chambers. We need to be able to hear everyone in the room. Behavior that disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of any city council meeting is not helpful and is not permitted. This includes behavior both inside and outside of the council chambers. Should individuals inside the council chambers become disruptive so that city business is not able to be conducted, the mayor will first ask that the individuals allow city business to be completed. There will be time for public comment during the call to the audience portion of the meeting. If no cooperation, the mayor will issue a verbal warning and let them know that the continued disruptive behavior will lead to removal from the council chambers. If there is still no cooperation, the mayor will issue a second verbal warning and let them know that the continued disruptive behavior will lead to removal from the council chambers. If there is no cooperation after asking and 2 verbal warnings, then the mayor will ask security officers to remove only those individuals who are causing the disruption. Security personnel should not engage in any way, but only escort them from the council chambers. If individuals refuse to leave, security personnel shall warn them that they are trespassing and that the next step will be arrest by a Tempe police officer. Tempe officers may have to arrest if individuals refuse to leave. Charges for trespass and disorderly conduct may apply, as well as other charges. Should anyone be asked to be removed, the mayor will recess the meeting.
All right. Thank you very much. Just a quick note, too, that Vice Mayor Adams, Councilmember Keating, and Councilmember Garland are all online. For folks in the audience right now or folks watching at home, just wanted to note that. Which brings me to item number 2, call to the audience. The City Council welcomes public comment at this time for the issue review session and committee of the whole items for this work study session agenda. There is a 3-minute time limit per speaker. I have 1 card this evening on item 3B, and that card is from Ben Sanders. Would you come forward and state your name and place of residence? You have 3 minutes to address the council.
Mayor and Council, my name is Ben Sanders. I'm a lifelong resident of Tempe. I'm also director with my wife Sarah of the Campus Christian Center on Mill Avenue. I'd like to speak in support of the Resilience Hub network that is being proposed by and worked on by the Office of Resilience and Sustainability here in Tempe. These resilience hubs are a variety of sites throughout our city, both city-owned and community-led and invested sites that can provide social services, resources for our community, and also emergency preparedness and response in the event of a disaster. The disaster could be localized within a neighborhood, for example, or it could be much more widespread. And probably what we're all concerned about would be a power outage in the very hottest part of our summers, which can be life-threatening. And for those of us who have experienced these in our own city, whether it was a branch falling on a power line in Washington State that knocked us out of power for 8 hours, I remember that very well, or a transformer fire, APS transformer fire, massive transformers, that is, that engulfed 3 different transformers because they didn't have firewalls. We know just how vulnerable our system is. And so I want to just speak in support of these resilience hubs as a way to be proactive rather than reactive. And Baltimore, Orlando, I believe also Austin, have already led the way in developing these resilience hubs. Tempe should very much be part of that. I'm happy to say that Campus Christian Center is looking to be one of these many resilience hubs throughout our city. Thank you very much for letting me speak.
Thank you, Ms. Sanders. Appreciate it. Good to see you. That's the only card I have this afternoon. Is there anyone else in the audience wishing to address the council? If so, please get my attention. All right, seeing none, I'll close that portion of the meeting, and I will move forward with item 3A, proposed speed limit changes. And I see Kathy Hollow coming up.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kathy Hall, the city traffic engineer, and here to talk to you this afternoon about proposed speed limit changes. The other one?
No, the other way. The clicker, but the other way. There you go.
Oh, okay. I'll get it right one of these times. So.
Clickers are very fancy up here, you know?
Why are we proposing speed limit changes? So this is not a strategy to reduce high speeds. This is taking a look at how the roadway function has changed over time and looking at what the adjacent roadside culture is now. And really, we're trying to right-size the speeds to match what is happening in the area. This presentation touches on performance measures 3.26, 20-minute city, and 1.08 high-severity crash reduction. So just briefly talk about the types of speed limits that we have. So we have statutory speed limits, those are set by state statutes. They're enforceable even if they're not posted. We have posted speed limits that are set by state statutes or local ordinances, and the signs must be posted in order for these to be enforceable. We also have some special condition speed limits, such as school zones, variable speed limits, and advisory speeds. So the primary purpose of speed limits is to enhance safety by reducing risk imposed by the driver's speed choices. And we're hoping to reduce, you kind of want to reduce the disparity in the speeds that people are driving so that they're a little bit closer together so we don't have a big discrepancy. First, I'll touch briefly on the 4 proposed changes, and then I'll go through each one, what's out there and what we considered when making this proposal. So the first corridor we're talking about is Mill Avenue. The north end of Mill Avenue, we want to reduce from 45 to 35, and then south of University from 40 to 35. College Avenue, we're looking to reduce the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit to 30, and that's from the north city limit to Curry Road. First Street, reduce the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit to 30 from Ash to the west end of the road. And then Southern, reduce the 45 to 40 from 48th Street to the railroad tracks so that we have a consistent speed limit across Southern. So I'm going to go through each one of these. First, start with Mill Avenue and the existing conditions. As probably you all know, Mill Avenue at one time was a state highway. Certainly the function of the road has changed quite a bit. Today it's an arterial street, you might even say a minor arterial street, with 2 through lanes in each direction from the north city limits to Rio Salado, and then 1 through lane in each direction from Rio Salado to University. It has landscape medians with left turn lanes, and the streetcar shares the northbound through lane. So some of the things we looked at in considering changing the speed limit, North Mill Avenue is kind of a gateway to downtown. On the north end, we had the Rolling Hills project where we changed the way that facility was operating. We've added night golf and an entertainment venue, so that adds traffic. We also have a project coming through where we're connecting the Crosscut Canal Path with the Grand Canal Path, and there'll be a connection across Mill Avenue. Again, changing, and I'll have a pedestrian signal, changing the roadway a little bit. South of University, the 35-mile-an-hour will match the existing school zone. And also want to mention that there's 2 streetcar stations on Mill at 9th and 11th. So those are some of the things we're looking at for Mill Avenue. College, the existing condition. This is College from Curry to, as I said, the north city limit. Before Loop 101 went in, College served as a major connection from Curry to the north. As a matter of fact, there was a double left turn there because there were so many people that came across from, I guess, downtown Phoenix and were heading north. And we have since changed that because the volume has decreased so much. It's now kind of a minor collector with 1 lane in each way and a raised median. So the considerations when we were looking at College Avenue, the Orbit just added a section of College to its route. The city's preference is for the Orbit to operate on streets with a speed of 30 miles an hour or less. And there are a series of horizontal and vertical curves that create kind of a unique drive for residents in this area. We also have 2 city parks, the Heritage Center and Eisenroth House, and then, of course, the Papago Park Preserve, which was named a few years back, that's adjacent to College, that has all kinds of users, hikers, recreational users, runners, walkers, bicyclists, and others. First Street, again, is a minor collector. There's actually 2 railroad crossings on the east end, and west of Hardy, First Street now ends at a cul-de-sac in front of the new building over there at Priest. It no longer connects to Rio Salado Parkway. And the things we looked at when thinking about First Avenue, or First Street, the Before Rio Salado Parkway was built, First Street had a more prominent role in the area street system, right? There was no much on Rio Salado, and the land uses were, at that time, there was a lot of vacant land. Now there's residential and office. It provides access across tracks, and it no longer has direct access to Rio Salado Parkway. So again, the function of this road and the character of this road has changed. Finally, we considered Southern Avenue. It's the only arterial street that we were really looking at. It's an arterial street with a center left turn lane, has 3 lanes westbound, 2 lanes eastbound. There's an interchange with Loop 101 on the east, and it actually goes under I-10 on the west end, and there is no interchange. So the things we looked at for Southern Avenue, again, this is before US 60 was built. Southern Avenue had a different role. It was more prominent. US 60 took some of that traffic. The land uses now include light industrial, retail, residential, and a city park, so real variety. It provides access to Diablo Stadium, which is important, especially during spring training. The intersection of Fairlane and Southern has been the site of 2 fatalities. There are 2 retirement communities on the west end, and then this change would provide a consistent speed on Southern all the way across the city. So those are the 4 corridors. Next steps on, I guess this isn't next, we already had this on March 12th. We went to the commission, and they agreed with it, agreed with the proposal. We're now presenting to you, and with your recommendation, we're going to go to public meetings on this, and the public meetings are in May 15th, and then we'll come back to the commission and tell the commission what the public said, and then we'll come back to council and tell council what the public said, and then if council provides direction to move forward, there's 2 public hearings because this is an ordinance change. All speed limits are listed in the city ordinance, so in 30 days after the second hearing, the changes can be implemented. And that's all I have to say today, so if you have any questions,
Wonderful.
comments.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I'm going to go to Councilmember Chin and then Councilmember Hodge.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for this update and on this progress. I think it's smart. I am happy that staff has invested the time in doing this. I want to reiterate something you said at the outset of your presentation. The primary reason for these changes, is for consistency. I think it's awfully confusing and can be dangerous when we have 2 different speed limits posted on the same, within maybe a quarter mile, right? So I think that's smart, and also that our roads are used differently now.
Correct.
I think Councilmember Navarro was on council when Mill was a state highway.
Wow.
That's a long time ago.
I felt a jab coming, and it just came.
Savor that one.
Right. Something else will come my way next. But no, I think it's smart. I think it's great to be consistent, and I appreciate the work that's going into this. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Councilmember Hodge?
Thank you. I do appreciate the work, and I think that when we slow down, it causes less, less accidents, less chances of, death or serious accidents. But my question is, on Southern, isn't part of it still 45 when you go further up, like towards McClintock Priestway, or is it all 40? Because I thought it was 45 earlier.
I think it's, 40, I'm pretty sure we double checked, but it's 40 to east of the railroad tracks to the city limits.
Oh, okay, because maybe I just
There's a
didn't see
45
it.
in there.
I thought it was 45 because I live off of that Southern, so that's why I was asking that question.
And I won't ask how fast you were driving.
Okay, well, yeah.
I was about to ask that question, actually.
Don't you start. No. Okay, if it is, and that's great, because I wanted to be consistent all the way through.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Okay, thank you so
We can
much.
double check that.
Yes. Yeah, please do, because for some reason, I just think it's 45 somewhere. Maybe I'm just seeing it coming down a little bit towards Mill, past Mill on Priest, but I don't know. I just would love to see if it's
Okay.
consistent all the way through, because if we change that piece and there's another piece that's 45 still, then I would love for all of it to be changed at the same speed up and down Southern.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all the work you're doing and all you put into it, you and your whole staff. So thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Councilmember Garland?
Thank you. Kathy, I think this is really smart. I think this is a really smart way for us to look at the safety of the roads in our community. I'm just curious, are we looking at that consistency through the entire city or just in the main area? That's one question, and I have another one when we're done.
No, I think we'll continue to move forward with this as a program like this, looking at pieces at a time and seeing what makes sense.
Okay, thank you. And Councilmember Chin mentioned the same thing that I'm going to say is it is definitely a consistency issue, but I look at this as a safety issue for cyclists, walkers, drivers on the road. But I really think that this is another one of those things that really could attach itself to Vision Zero because it'll help with the speeds and being more consistent will make people pay more attention and make it safer on the road. So I think this is a great thing that we're looking at doing. And I just want to say thank you so much. I think this is the right thing for us to do. Again, we want our residents to always be safe. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on council? Any further comments or questions?
I have a comment.
Yes, Vice Mayor Adams.
Yes, yes. I just, we've been working on the safety for years now, and so I think this is another step that we've made in the last 4 or 5 years in the right direction. So I really appreciate it. I think that we need to look at slowing people down all over because it literally saves lives. So it's moving in a good direction. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from council? Any further comments or questions? All right, hearing none. Great job. Thank you very much. Go forward. Councilmember Navarro has confirmed that it's 40. It's 40? Yeah.
Thank you, Councilmember Navarro.
Anything else? Just let me.
You got it. Google Maps is a powerful tool. Next up, item 3B, Resilience Hub Initiative. Come on down.
Good evening, council members. Thank you so much for letting me and Jessica speak today about the Tempe Resilience Hub Network Initiative. My name is Carissa Fowler, and I'm the Heat Mitigation and Resilience Specialist with the Sustainability and Resilience Office. So I was able to give a presentation on resilience hubs at the Human Services and Community Safety Council Committee, but I'm really looking forward to sharing this with the rest of you all. But before I get into the presentation, I understand that resilience hubs might not be a familiar term. So as some context, resilience hubs are trusted community facilities that offer daily programs and services, and the hubs can shift into a disruption or emergency response mode. So today, I'll just be kind of doing an update on how this relates to the heat season, and we'll be coming back to you all at a later date for some more direction. So one way that resilience hubs can support their community is through heat relief, and I'm really excited to share that because of the work that we've done with this Resilience Hub initiative, we've opened up the opportunity to add 3 additional cooling centers to our heat relief efforts, which Jessica will now talk more about.
Thanks, Carissa. It's my pleasure to speak on heat relief. We have the heat relief season upon us already, May 1st till September 30th this year. And we participate on multiple different levels when it comes to heat relief. As you can see on the screen, last year we had an exorbitant amount of heat-related deaths, 645, which is 52% more than the heat-related deaths that we had the previous year in 2022. Now, usually I'm speaking on issues specifically relating to folks experiencing homelessness, but only 45% of that 645 individuals were individuals experiencing homelessness that actually experienced a heat-related death. So this is something that applies to all of our community. It's very important regionally and both across our entire city. On the screen you can see we participate in the Maricopa Association of Governments Heat Relief Network. At the website loaded on the screen is where you can access a map that is going to give you the heat relief locations throughout the entire valley, including Tempe, along with dates, times that they're open, different specifics about those locations in particular. So as a city, we're going to be continuing to operate the 6 city cooling centers at community centers that we had operating last year. This is Cahill, Escalante, Kiwanis, North Tempe Multigen, Pyle, and Westside. And so on top of that, we also have Jenny's Trailer that the entire Homeless Solutions team, the entire HOPE team, Tempe Works, myself, we all went out and trained on how to operate the trailer to make sure that we were all capable of getting that connected so we can have it out on a weekly basis with the team. Now, what Carissa touched on that we're very excited about is the fact that we went ahead and applied with Maricopa County Department of Public Health for assistance to open up 3 heat relief centers and faith-based centers this year. So what started as a 1-year ask of just under $390,000 became the ability to apply for 3-year funding, which we received for just under $1.2 million. So that is something we're really proud of, being able to have these additional heat relief centers through the heat relief season of 2026. You can see on the screen who we've got committed so far. Each one of those cooling centers has a capacity of 30 to 35 persons. As you saw on the screen, we're not going to be operating our Envision Center as we were last year as a cooling center, but we are operating 3 faith-related centers that are going to be replacing the capacity of the Envision Center for us, and also providing cooling centers at multiple locations for access to people throughout the entire city. So we're contracting and working with Arizona Faith Network for this initiative. Actually, we were out there training their onboarding team this week on how to make sure that they're able to reach both our HOPE and CARE 7 team, our Office of Community Policing, and anybody needed throughout the city. So they're going to be operating the centers 7 days a week between 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. And Chris is going to go into a little bit more detail about that.
Great, thank you so much, Jessica. Really excited to continue to work with you this summer. So transitioning back to the Resilience Hub initiative, the work I'm about to discuss targets 2 Tempe performance measures, community and municipal carbon neutrality, but this work touches well-being and livability, so there's a multitude of performance measures that this work interacts with. And the work of Resilience Hubs requires a lot of collaboration. So as you can see on the screen, all the internal partners that have been helping me with this effort. So a big thank you to everyone involved. And just as a reminder, investing in Resilience Hubs is in our Climate Action Plan update with the goal of increasing community connections and our ability as a community to respond to everyday challenges and hazards. We know our community is empathetic, and we've been shown time and time again that our community wants to give back. But oftentimes when there's a disruption or an emergency, there's a misalignment in what is truly needed and what the community can offer. So the goal of this work is to align and coordinate those community needs with that community agency that exists. I also wanted to mention that because of Tempe's work on this initiative and the feedback that we've given to the state, Resilience Hubs are one of the main recommendations in the governor's new extreme heat preparedness plan. So we're really excited to see the state get behind this initiative. So going back to heat, while Resilience Hub work thinks of all kinds of disruptions, the most likely risk we will face is obviously extreme heat. So the graph that Jessica showed earlier shows that in 2023, there was a 52% increase in Maricopa County heat-related deaths compared to the previous year, and heat records will continue to be broken each year in our future. So a large reason why we're pursuing this Resilience Hub work is because there's this gap in providing heat relief during the summertime that we're seeing our community resilience hubs already stepping up and filling. So with these higher temperatures comes hazards like heat waves, residential neighborhood fires, and power outages, which can and has resulted in the displacement of Tempe residents during the summertime. So for example, last year, there was a power outage that affected over 400 residents on a 110+ degree day, and a shelter was set up in our North Tempe Multi-Gen Center to provide cooling for those that were displaced. So when we talk about hazards in Tempe, these are the main hazards that we're looking to mitigate and build resilience to. Higher temperatures are also affecting our first responders, and research shows that in the summertime, there are more 911 calls for service, with heat-related calls for service mostly happening in northern Tempe. So this shows that along with changing temperatures and more severe hazards, we're also seeing a stress on our emergency response teams during the summer. So how can we improve our collective resilience to hazards while also ensuring that everyday challenges are mitigated? We can tap into that community agency and desire that we're seeing from residents, faith-based organizations, and nonprofits, and coordinate resilience building efforts across the city through the concept of Resilience Hubs. Resilience Hubs are trusted community facilities designed to assist residents in their daily lives, respond effectively during emergencies, and aid in recovery. Resilience Hubs are the physical infrastructure of that community social capacity building by offering trusted spaces for networks to be formed, relationships to be built, and for that agency to flourish. And the idea is to have a network of these resilience hubs that serve the community daily and during emergencies in different ways. And it's this bottom-up grassroots approach to emergency management and everyday programming that shifts the power and the confidence to residents and organizations that have agency. So resilience hubs can leverage that community agency, and they can do that by going through a series of focus areas like everyday programming, community disruption response planning, and investing in resilient infrastructure. So this diagram shows how community agency, emergency preparedness, and equity plays into those focus areas, with the City of Tempe's role being to support and help coordinate these efforts. Next couple of slides, I'll go deeper into these focus areas. So resilience hubs operate 99% of the time in that everyday mode, where they offer programs and services daily that can help residents in their everyday lives and build social networks. The Sustainability and Resilience Office is now offering many grants to support resilience hubs in their efforts to expand or start new everyday programs and services. So for example, this grant can provide financial support to expand food bank or hygiene service hours, or it can fund community social events, resilience hub community program engagement, or emergency preparedness training and supplies. For the second focus area, we've been working with FMR's emergency manager and assistant chief to develop a community disruption response plan. And these plans will help map out community assets, connections, and skills that they can utilize during a disruption. This approach allows us to plan with the community, not for the community. So for instance, if there was a power outage, I know 2 neighbors in my community that would need to refrigerate their medication. And I also know that Jim down the street has a generator that backs up his refrigerator. So this is the type of knowledge that the neighborhood has that these plans are designed to tap into. Really trying to leverage those community assets and shift the power and the confidence to residents to be resilient in the face of hazards. The third focus area comes down to the physical infrastructure of these buildings. So we got funding from council to conduct a solar and battery storage feasibility study. And this plan looks at 30 Tempe facilities, from our first responders to our community centers to our faith-based organizations that do community work. And this Resilient Energy Hub Master Plan will help us get closer to ensuring that these facilities are backed up with solar and battery so that we can maintain essential service operations even if there is a power outage. So again, we have agency and will within our community, and resilience hubs can really leverage that by going through this cycle of community engagement, emergency preparedness, social network building, and resilient infrastructure investments. Resilience hubs are community-driven. Our role as the city is to provide resources, tools, and help with coordination so that the community can leverage their own agency and needs when they need it most. So again, we're already seeing the benefits of this work and the engagement done with the resilience hubs. 4 of the churches involved have agreed to volunteer to be cooling centers this summer, so a big, big thank you to them. These centers will be accepting pets either inside or outside in a shaded area, but we're still looking for an organization to fill that last half. So if any of you have any recommendations, please let me know. And then the other sites that are involved in the Resilience Hub network will be hosting heat relief donation drives for the cooling centers. So again, already seeing this engagement tap into that community agency, but focusing it in on an area of need, which is heat relief in the summer. So in terms of next steps, the next 5 months will be focused on ensuring that heat relief goes smoothly and that all needs are met May through September. And I'll be doing some internal work with each of the resilience hubs to explore more what this concept can look like for them and their community. And as you know, Tempe, as you may know, Tempe worked with other regional municipalities for a regional application to the EPA CPRG grant. And a large portion of Tempe's ask was to fund the Resilience Hub program. So this includes building out solar and battery storage for several community center buildings. And hopefully we look forward to sharing some good news in July when we hear. And then as I mentioned, we're starting the process of developing the Resilient Energy Hub Master Plan, and we'll be working with internal and external partners for the remainder of the year, and we'll be coming back to you all with recommendations on how to move forward with implementation for this plan. Thank you so much for your time.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Councilmember Hodge.
Well, first off, I'm saying I'm excited. This is, I've heard about it for the last couple of years, and it's just every time I hear it, it's breathtaking. It's blowing me away of all the work you've done. So thank you so much for all you've done. Mike, one of my questions, I have two. My first question is, I know when we talk about, fatalities and people, it's usually a lot of it's seniors. So what are we doing to get the outwork for them, information out to let them know where the hubs are at, how to engage that? Because I do see a lot of our seniors, and I know that's not just in this area, it's all throughout the country that they're the ones who usually have the highest fatality when it comes to heat resistance.
That's a very good question, and that's something that we work really closely with our PIO department on, to make sure that it's not just handed out flyers, it's not just social media, that it's really across the board in many different ways that it can reach folks, both bus systems and really any place that we can try to get that information. That's where we work really closely so that it doesn't, so that it reaches everybody, whether they have internet or not, whether they see a Hope Team member or not.
Well, I'll say for myself, if you want any information to be distributed between my breakfasts and my newsletters, I am willing to do it. I'll even do I can even do a breakfast on it. So you just let anything I can do to help.
Really appreciate that.
And second, I know we have the heat resistance, but I know we have the emergency also. Is that something that, I think I'd asked you guys this before, but are we going to work with the schools? Because that's a big hub. If you do a big emergency, a lot of people know where to go to the schools at. Is that something that you need some help with, trying to get a connecting part with the school districts? Because I know not only in some of our schools, we have schools that are not even going to be open, where some of our schools but will be closing. So, I mean, that's something I want to see if we can work with too when we have empty buildings. I know we already have one in Tempe Union that we're not using at this moment. So is that something that I can help with to bring that relationship together?
Mayor, Councilmember Hodge, thank you. Yes, short answer, yes. We do want to include the schools in this resilience hub work. The reason why we're focusing so small right now on the faith-based organizations is because we're really trying to make sure that this is community-driven and something that the community feels that they have a say in. So down the line, when we get more funding for the programs, for the microgrid assessments, for installing the microgrids, we would definitely like to include the schools in this conversation.
Thank you. What about the YMCAs and the Boys and Girls Clubs? Are we working with them? Because that's a lot of we can get a lot of parents and a lot of community support there too. Is that something that you're thinking about?
Yes, the YMCA is included in the microgrid assessment as of now, but we have yet to have that conversation about the larger resilience hub work.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Councilmember Garwood?
Hi, thank you, Mayor. I just get so incredibly jazzed every time you guys make a presentation on from our sustainability and resilience department. You guys have done such a great job, and this is just another one of those incredible things that you're doing. In the presentation, I absolutely loved when you were talking about the community response plan. I really love the idea of really breaking down your neighborhood into small bite-sized pieces. As you were saying, if electricity was to go out in a certain area, who needs their medications refrigerated, or who has a senior in that area that would need to be picked up and moved somewhere else to be safe? I think that the idea of what we're doing again is making our community safe, the best that we can do for our residents, and I think this is just another one of those amazing ways that we're doing that. I think I really like the idea of, I know last year when we did we had the power outage in the North Tempe, I went down there. It was incredible what our staff was able to pull together in such a short amount of time to have people, staff members down there, have a cold, cool, comfortable area, have food, have drinks, have snacks, have an area where we could take care of the pets that were coming. So I'm just so impressed with what our staff has been able to do. And I appreciate all of that so much. And I just want to kind of give out an additional shout out to our faith community. So we have, these churches, these 3 churches that have signed up to participate in this program. We also have 9 churches that participate in our iHelp program that help take care of our homeless individuals in the evenings and let them sleep there overnight, take showers, and get fed. And I just think that we have such an incredible community of residents, and our faith-based community has really stepped up to be such a great partner with the city of Tempe. And I just want to make sure we give them a great shout out too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilmember Garland. Any other council members, any comments or questions? Yes, Carissa,
Can I make
yes.
a comment? Mayor, Councilmember Garland, thank you so much for those kind words. I did really like what you said about how the community response plan, disruption response plan, can even be used to know when our seniors would need to be connected to a cooling center, which is like Councilmember Hodges' comment. I think this is a really, really good opportunity just for community members to get to know each other more and knowing what their needs and vulnerabilities are, and then connecting them to the resources in the network in the city so that we can better be resilient in the face of these hazards. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. All right. Anyone else? Anyone else on the phone? All right. Hearing none. Thank you so much. Great
Thank you.
presentation. Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is the call to the audience for committee of the whole items. There aren't any items this evening that are ready for city council direction or status update this evening, so I will close that item and head to the next, which brings us to items 5B, council committees in progress, updates as needed. Council members, any comments or updates you have on items 5B1, 5B2, or 5B3?
Mayor, this is Councilmember Garland.
Yes.
I would just like to say that our Human Services and Community Safety Committee will be meeting on May 15th. And one of the really incredible things that we're going to be doing is that the tobacco retail license went into effect on May 1st. We have 153 tobacco retailers and 111 applications that have been turned in. So we have some work to do, but we're going to get a great update from staff. So if anybody is interested to know where we are on that, they could attend our meeting on the 15th.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Council members, any other comments on those items? 5B1, 5B2, or 5B3? All right, hearing none. That brings me to item number 6, future agenda items. Members of the City Council may request that an agenda item be added to a future issue review session, but in accordance with the open meeting law, there should be no discussion on the item other than to clarify the request. Are there any council members who'd like to add any future agenda items at this time?
Mayor,
Yes, Councilmember Navarro.
can I add items for next fiscal year?
You know, as far as I'm concerned, yes.
Give me next meeting.
I object.
What? As far as I'm concerned, once a council member, always a council member, so. All right. Well, hearing none, that brings us to item number 7, announcements from the mayor and or city manager. I don't have any announcements this evening. Madam City Manager?
Nothing from me, Mayor. Thank you.
All right, seeing none on that front. That brings us to my next item here, which is item 8, adjournment. The next regular scheduled work study session is on May 16th, 2024. We are adjourned. Have a good evening, everyone.